Hi everybody, welcome to Cage Minds. I'm your host Micah. Today we're going to be talking about UFC 134 or UFC Rio or UFC Silva versus Okami, however you like to put it. It's going on this Saturday, August 27th. First time for the UFC being back in Rio, in Brazil, in 13 years. One of the birthplaces of the UFC, thanks to the Gracie family and Royce Gracie winning the first ever UFC tournament. So this is a big deal for them. They sold out in 2 hours, 14,000 seats, 300,000 were requests. So it looks like a prominent future for the UFC in Brazil. This is Cage Minds. We're going to go through all the fights that are happening. I'm going to give you a kind of a breakdown, a preview about the fighters, a quick prediction. Then at the end of the show, I'll give you a full prediction of what I think is going to happen. This is a huge event. I got a lot of information to cover. It's probably going to be a two-part event here, so let's get started on it. These fights that we're going into first are the prelim fights. This is a mixture of what will be going on Facebook and on Spike. Not quite sure if I have it in the right order. Also, right away, apologies to any fighters that I messed up their names. So we'll get right to it. The first fight that we have is Rafael Asunko, who's 14-4, taking on Johnny Eduardo. Eduardo is the last-minute replacement. Asunko, a Brazilian. Of course, he has Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, good Muay Thai game, been under the Zoom umbrella for quite a while, WEC and UFC. He's 3-3, though, in his time there. Eduardo is a last-minute replacement who's known for his striking, his rear naked choke. He's on an 11-fight win streak. Good striking. Should be a good matchup to watch. Rafael is going to want to take this to the ground. He's going to want to use the wrestling, use the clinch. I don't know if he'll be able to. He hasn't been faring well lately, getting knocked out very fast by Eric Koch in his last bout. Before that, a loss to Diego Nunes. 3 out of his last 4 are losses. So looking for him to do well is unexpected. I'm figuring Johnny Eduardo is going to have an impressive debut and take a victory in that fight. The next fight we have is Yves Jabouin, who's 15-7, taking on Ian Loveland, who's 14-8. Jabouin is going to be making his debut in the bantamweight division. Loveland is going to be in his second fight in the bantamweight division. Loveland, who in his debut in the bantamweight division took on top 5 bantamweighter Joseph Benavidez and didn't fare so well, losing unanimous decision. But in that, he didn't fare so well, but he did not look bad in that fight. Jabouin himself, an exciting fighter, had a great war in the WEC with Mark Hominick. Was having a great first-round battle with Pablo Garza until he was caught in a flying armbar, so not that great of a debut into the UFC. That was at featherweight, now dropping down to bantamweight, trying to be the bigger man, trying to use his wrestling. Hopefully he'll have a success, but at a point for cutting weight, there's a diminished return and how much your abilities improve. Jabouin on a skid as of late. Loveland looked that much better, went the distance, so I'm giving the nod to Loveland in that fight, but I think it's a really close battle. The next one is going to put 2 guys making their UFC debuts. Yuri Alcantara is 24-3, as Felipe Arantes is 13-3. He has 2 no contests. Alcantara is going to be making his debut also as a featherweight, all of his previous bouts being at lightweight. Arantes is coming into this fight as a well-rounded fighter, 6 TKOs, 4 submissions. Also, he's unbeaten in his last 9 fights. 7 of them victories, 2 no contests. Alcantara, though I've heard things about the guy being a crusher, a wrecker, a bruiser. He's a really impressive fighter coming out of Brazil. Both of these guys are former title holders in Brazil, so this will be an exciting one, but I'm thinking Alcantara is going to have a more impressive debut. I heard he's just a punisher, a monster. And dropping weight, I've heard that the expectations are nothing but that he'll be a wrecking machine. The next fight is Brazilian Rousimar Palhares, who's 21-3, taking on Dan Miller, 13-5. Palhares and Miller have a common opponent that they both lost to, Nate Marquardt. Marquardt knocked out Palhares very quickly due to the miscue of a leg lock. Dan Miller was wrestled down for all 3 rounds. Is there any insight we could gain from that common opponent? I'd say not really, as to that they'll employ different game plans towards each other than they had going into that bout. Palhares is famously known for his leg locks. He takes legs He takes them home as trophies. He owns them. And Miller is one of the toughest guys in the UFC, to put it lightly, because he'll take any fight on any short notice. Just call him up, he'll come in. He's a wrestler, he's a jiu-jitsu fighter out of AMA in New Jersey. He's going to come to us, he's going to put on a show. Pujares at home, I'm believing that the Brazilian in Brazil, is going to be a big moment for him. His striking has been growing every time we've seen him. He was successful in his last bout over Dave Branch. The man is so physically strong that even without perfect technique in his striking, he's effective with his strikes, though. He's also just that submission master, and I think he'll have a little more strength advantage in this. He has the center of gravity. The best thing for Dan Miller in this fight would be to stay on the outside. He's going to have to use defensive wrestler, keep moving. It's not really his style. He gets caught brawling. I see him getting back into the cage. Pujares will definitely be victorious in this bout. Next up, it's going to be two more guys debuting in the UFC. More Brazilians on the Brazilian card. Erick Silva is 12-1, as Luis Ramos, who is a last-minute replacement for Mike Swick, is 19-6. Erick Silva is coming to us. He's a member of Team Nogueira, trains at the Black House with Nogueira, Silva, Mark Munoz. He's also trained at the X Gym. He's Jungle Fight welterweight champion. As Ramos comes to us, he's a Nova Niao fighter, that same camp that produced fighters as Ronnie Marks, Diego Nunes, Marlon Sandro, Jose Aldo. He is the Shudo welterweight champ. So both of these men are coming in, both prominent prospects. I've heard a little more high regards towards Silva. Heard that this will be a highly competitive fight. Silva is a little more of a fight finisher, a little more exciting, a little more special, as people say. He has more pressure coming into this fight, as he was touted to battle Mike Swick, which is no light battle. People were wondering, would Swick get an easy fight, or is Silva getting an easy fight? Well, now it's a different fight. It'll be an exciting fight that everyone should see. I'm picking Erick Silva having a spectacular UFC debut. The next fight puts Paulo Thiago, who's 13-3, another Brazilian, versus Dave Mitchell, 11-1. Thiago is a Special Forces police officer in Brazil. Another Brazilian. They're going to have this momentum, this energy. Dave Mitchell, making his UFC debut, 9-1, has beat some UFC vets outside of the UFC prior to this opportunity. He also trains with former UFC middleweight David Terrell. Well, he's going into the home country of Paulo Thiago. Thiago, in 4 of his UFC bouts, has fought against John Finch, Josh Koscheck, Mike Swick. He's also done battle with Martin Kampmann and Diego Sanchez. This man's fought the who's who in the welterweight division of the UFC in only 16 career bouts. This may almost seem like a little bit of him being able to shine, fighting a guy that I've not heard too much. Not saying that Mitchell does not have talent. He has great submissions, 11 victories, 9 of them coming via submission. He is talented, but I don't think he's going to be able to submit the black belt who has the stronger, superior standing game, a clinch game. Thiago's been there, some tough guys. This is a huge task for Mitchell, so I'm taking Paulo Thiago at home. Next fight is Thiago Tavares. He's 19-4 with 1 draw, taking on Spencer the King Fisher, who's 25-7. Tavares, again, another Brazilian at home. Of course, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai. He's coming into this fight, though, coming off of a knockout loss to Shane Roller. Spencer Fisher has lost 3 of his last 4. Both of these men are fighting for job security. Loser probably needs to find another promotion to fight in. Which one is it going to happen to? It would be a sad thing to see Spencer Fisher leave the UFC. This is going to be his 17th trip into the octagon. He's been a very exciting fighter, stand-up fighter in the UFC, standing there, slugging blows, trading it out. But if you didn't know that, just if you've seen him fight, he also has 8 submissions in his pocket. He's facing Tavares. Tavares, who hasn't fared well versus wrestlers. He has losses to Tyson Griffin, Matt Wyman, Kurt Pellegrino, and a draw with Nick Lentz. So if you have grappling ability, you can kind of nullify him. But I don't think that Fisher's up to par with it. I don't know if his sprawls will be good enough. Thiago was looking good in his first round versus Shane Roller, who's a highly regarded national wrestling champion, until he got caught. If you can avoid getting caught in this fight, stick to a good game plan. Again, I'm picking another Brazilian at home. There's something about the hometown after 13 years. I think it's going to be a special night. That's what our predictions are so far for the first part of Cage Minds. We'll have a second part coming to you for the main event card.